not Garcia. He ditched us yesterday. He didn't show up, Perry. That son of a – but you always show up. You always show up, and we're always glad to see you. What's up, man?
Living the dream, man. I'm down here in the Orth residence where we grew up in Jacksonville, out back by the parents' pool, heading getting ready to head to a wedding on Saturday.
Man,
come on, Perry.
Isn't that against the law in Florida?
What? Yeah, right.
I forgot that one. They don't have laws in Florida.
Number one, not my friend. Number two, neither are from Florida, and both individuals are probably. I'm not gonna go there. It's political season, but I'll refrain.
Hey,
but
hey, JC,
Oh, man.
JC, don't tell Tyreek Hill there's no laws in Florida.
Oh, yeah, my bad on that one.
Trust me, there's laws.
Some traffic laws down there, but
yeah.
I felt bad. I got buried December 30th, and I felt bad about that because Carolina may have gone to, if they'd have beaten Clemson, would have probably gone to the Liberty Bowl, and I would have violated all of my rules. But alas, they lost to Clemson, and I got away with it. But, man, that's – especially this weekend, man. I feel for you, Perry.
And I live 5 minutes from Williams-Brice, so I know. To be able to have run down to college game day, and I had to tell him no. I was going to be the guest picker, and I had to tell him no.
Oh.
So
well, that's a shame, Perry. I
just told him, I said, hey, catch me in a decade when you guys come back. So.
I don't know. Hey, win tomorrow and beat Akron. They might be back in a couple of weeks for Ole Miss because there ain't any other good games that week as of now.
Yeah.
Well, hey, look, here's what set this up, right? 31-6, the final score last week in Lexington. Carolina went up there and flat out dominated the Cats in all phases of the game, essentially. Everybody's been talking about the defense. We're going to talk about the defense, but you're an offensive guy, so we're going to start there. What type of progress did you see?
Nobody's talking about this. I listened into 107.5 here in Columbia. Nobody's talking about the job that Dowell Loggains did in game 2.
I did.
Thank you.
Give Mike credit. He brought it up Monday.
Coach Loggains. Yeah, we didn't light up the scoreboard necessarily from an offensive standpoint or yard standpoint, but timely play calls. If you go back, and I don't have it off the top of my head, but how many drives did we start where the first play of the drive was a positive gain or was a quick, some type of a quick game to where the ball was out of his hand? His first touchdown pass, Sellers, was great call, kind of a pump right, roll left, a clear vision throw. You're either setting up, throwing that post, or you're throwing the corner. And it was cut and dry with a guy right in front of him. Great way to manipulate safeties with a little movement and then back around. The second touchdown, the passing touchdown, was a fake, kind of really wasn't a play action, but it was a fake toss where they jet motioned across the formation and ran switch vertical concept from number 2 and number 3. And I've been saying this for years, having played against Stoops twice. Big closed middle team, big cover 3, which means safety in the middle of the field, 2 high corners, which means the seams, they're open, they're available. And for him to call that in the red zone, it really puts a bind on that safety, whether he's going to run to 2 or stay with 3. That flat defender either has to decide to carry the flat or run vertical. Well, with the toss sweep and the back heading to, running the swing route off of the toss, that flat defender was stuck in no man's land. Sellers layers a beautiful ball for a touchdown. I mean, as quick as everybody is to just bash offensive coordinators, you've got to tip your cap when they do a good job. And I thought the way he called the game when Sellers went out, I mean, how many times, guys, have we watched games, whether it's Carolina or the next team, where the starter goes out, they put the backup in, and it just goes to hell, right? He came in, he used Ashford to the gifts that he has. He didn't call plays for Ashford to do things that maybe he's not good at or wasn't comfortable doing coming in off the bench. I mean, obviously, we're going to talk about the defense has been stellar. Clayton White has done a phenomenal job. And then, anytime you have great players, it's always going to make you look like a great coach. But, the coaches had to get the players. And, I don't want to come on here and build up South Carolina to say, hey, we're going 12-0, because I think that's a fault of our fan base. We get so low with the lows and so high with the highs that we've got to just let the season play out, right? We beat Kentucky and we're already, we have game day and everybody's like, this is our comeback moment. And whether we win or lose, we still have so many big games left on the schedule to go and make and have that moment that we've got to stay calm, stay composed, but we've got to give credit to Dowell and Coach White for what they're putting together and molding, and the improvement from week 1 to week 2. I thought was phenomenal, especially on the offensive side of the ball.
You make a great point. And, the second drive of the game, where LaNorris fired the 21-yard pass in traffic on first down, I thought that got LaNorris going. But then, that was a 4-play, 61-yard drive. If you'd asked me, is South Carolina going to score in 4 plays? I'm like, how far did Rocket Sanders run on 1 carry?
Yeah.
Or was it a bomb or something? But that was just like shoot, 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 shoot. And he kept them off balance. I think there's a little bit of a misnomer out there, because I was doing the math. South Carolina did not have that many possessions. Really, in the second half, they had 3 when the game was in doubt, 4 total, and then kind of a run out the clock thing. First half was only 6. I'm with you about Ashford. That was a huge play, because South Carolina got a field goal out of it and went up 10-0, and they needed that because Kentucky came right back and scored had a field goal drive and then got the turnover and got the other field goal, and you still got the lead. That second touchdown pass to Simon was something else too. And Perry, the question I would have, offensive coordinators, because a lot of people are focused on the ugly yardage stats, and they are ugly. You want to ideally get more than 250 in a game. I didn't have that many possessions or whatever, but I think a lot of bad offensive coordinators can move the ball between the 20s. I think what separates the good ones from the bad ones, and this is we really saw it Saturday, are the ones that, okay, you get down there, we're going to score because I've got something for you. And I thought that's what we saw Saturday from Dowell. Do you think that's accurate?
Yeah, it was. And there was a plan. I talked to a handful of folks this week. I talked to Wes Mitchell specifically on Sunday, and I'm loving these little wrinkles, right? I think I've told you guys this a billion times, but unfortunately, I can't watch the game as a fan. I'm always watching scheme and personnel and motions and how are we playing the chess game from the coach's standpoint. And it was not highlighted, but you can tell the Sean Elliott impact that is happening right now. And I'll give you an example. Do you recall us moving, whether it was Simon or the next tight end, kind of in that sniffer position right between center and guard, kind of right in there?
Yep.
I was telling Wes, we used to do this when I played. Like, I remember specifically when we played Texas A&M in 15, you had Myles Garrett out there. Well, instead of running your classic zone read where the tackle will inside release to go to the play side, or I guess technically the backside backer, right? Every defensive end has seen that a trillion times. And so what we did was we took Brandon Shell at tackle and we arced the tackle and the tight end. Well, very few times your defensive ends see a tackle arc around them. Normally they're either blocking head up, releasing inside, or they're trying to pin or log the defensive end down into the interior. Well, nobody arcs a defensive end like that, not at tackle at least. So the reason we did that is we'd arc the tackle, we'd inside release them, then we'd roll the pocket, then we would cut them, then we would drop back, then we would run draw. When you do that with really talented defensive end, it does not let them play, which is what they're good at. It requires them to think. They play defensive line. They bash their head on people all game long. I don't think they love to think, right? So when you require these folks to think, okay, if I get leverage here, I need to play here. If I arc, I need to stay, whatever the case might be from a technique standpoint, doing that over and over again to good defensive line, it's going to put pressure on them to not pin their ears and come. So what we did was we started arcing and started leaving that top defensive tackle. I don't know what his name is. We left him unblocked. So not only would the sniffer, hit and rip off and head to the next level, the guard would actually collision and arc. So he was getting bumped twice, then arced, and now he's getting hit, and then he's stuck into no man's land being like, what do I do? Do I go get the quarterback, or do I attack the – what do I do? And so the 3 or 4 times we ran that, I went back and saw the guy stands there like this, lost. Next thing you know, everybody made their block, and Rocket Sanders is taken off. There was one, actually, the long touchdown run that Rocket Sanders ended up having. Sellers could have taken that and pulled it, and there was nobody down the A-gap. And little things like that, when you're seeing a little bit more of the wrinkles in the zone game, that just tells me that Sean Elliott has got his hands and he's dabbling it in the run game, which is what we need. And then later on, taking the tight end motion and trading him back across the formation to run guard, H-back counter in for the touchdown. The diversity in the run game, along with the play calling in the red zone and the clear vision throws for the quarterbacks. Yes, we did not light up the scoreboard from a yards or a maybe point standpoint, like a 50-point deal. But Dowell called a hell of a ball game. And this is coming from somebody that has now been coaching for 8 years. And all I do is watch play callers. I mean, he called a phenomenal game, and I'm really excited about what he's got in store on Saturday.
What a description of that, what just happened this past weekend, Perry. That was fantastic. That might calm
my
down
analysis
some of the...
was not nearly as smart. Mine
Yeah,
was,
well,
I saw 2 wide receivers wide open on touchdown receptions. Like, somebody drew that up.
But I mean, that's to your point. Like, that's why you bring in Sean Elliott. That's kind of the point of what part of what he's doing here. Let me ask you this on all of those notes that you just gave there. One of the things that Coach Loggains said in his press conference yesterday, right off of the hip of Shane Beamer in his press conference on Tuesday, Perry, when asked about this offense and the strides that they made from week 1 to week 2, which you've just been describing, and then what's the next step? How do you take another big one in week 3 here against LSU? And both of them yesterday, their responses were exactly the same. They said eliminate the negative plays. And there were 13 plays that were negative for South Carolina this past weekend. So take us down that road through your eyes.
Well, I mean, negative plays, even a negative 2-yard gain can just stifle a drive, because now you're immediately playing behind the sticks, and you don't want to do that with a young quarterback. And I think let's highlight probably the easiest example to go over, which was the late second quarter interception that Sellers threw. I want to say it was either 1st and 10 or 2nd and 10. I don't think it was a 3rd down. Does anybody remember what down and distance the interception was on?
I think it was 2nd, because the first one he almost lost the ball, right?
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure it was 2nd and long.
And so what happened was you get 2nd and long. Okay, here's then what happens with a young quarterback, having been there and having coached young quarterbacks. They feel that whatever it is they did, they screwed it up, so now I have to make up. Hey, coach calls the pass play. I'm dropping back, and I'm trying to get a throw done. Well, everybody's covered. Pockets breaking down, and you kind of see a little glimmer that something might be there. And he goes, pat, jerk, launch. Airmails it, not even a remotely catchable ball for the defensive back, and drills the safety directly in the chest. That is nothing more than a young quarterback trying to do more than he probably should. Panicking, and then just chunking one up, right? That goes back to our conversation 2 weeks ago that I think that Dowell is the perfect fit for Sellers to take his gifts and then mold him into a throwing quarterback, right? As Coach Spurrier would call it. Oh, you're a runner. Oh, you're a thrower, right? And not trying to put a square peg in a round hole, but fine-tuning the pro-style-esque quarterback, right? So like when it gets tight like that, hey, climb the pocket and then use the gifts that you have to go and make something happen. Even if it's a negative 1-yard gain, it's better than you launching it and hitting the safety in the chest, right? You eliminate that play and say we punt and go to half and it's 10-3 versus 10-6. And, Lord willing, on that next drive to open the second half, Sellers fumbled twice, and we got both of them somehow. How quickly the game could have turned if pick 10-6, fumble Kentucky 13-10, different ball game, right? Or they kick a field goal and make it 10-9, different ball game. And that, in my opinion, those are the negative plays that just shoot you in the foot. Now, we did have a couple negative plays, and then Sellers makes, which I still believe the two most important plays of the game were the third down conversions that he made on the opening drive of the second half, and then the drive that they made it. I think I would have been when they made it 24-6, where he avoided pressure, hit Mazeo Bennett down the left sideline. Then I think it was the next play, he hit Simon on the touchdown, or maybe 2 plays later. Then on the next drive, we had like a 3rd and 11, and he hit Jared Brown on the Carolina sideline. Huge plays from a young quarterback on the road. 3rd down. I don't know if you guys remember this last year. I wanted to pull it up. Some of like the key highlights that I took from ChatGPT, the AI platform that basically helped determine the outcome of football games. I think it was maybe opening week last year I talked about it, but I have it pulled up here.
Yep.
Non-offensive touchdowns, you win 85% of the time. When you win the turnover margin, 78% of the time. In the third key indicator of winning football games, that if you win this battle 7 times, you win the game, and it's 3rd down conversion.
Yeah.
So you go back and you look at that, and you got to tip your cap and just say, hey, those 2 plays were instrumental in the outcome.
Critical.
The pick was on 2nd and 17, by the way. You're right.
17. That's what I thought. Okay.
Second and long. There you go.
Yeah, from the 18-yard line.
And, just looking at this, collectively, the 4 of us talked about this on Monday. That was it's easy to say because they won the game. Had they not, you'd be going, "Argh!" But it was a wonderful moment for him. It was a big-time growth moment. I love the fact, Perry, that they were trying to move the football down the field with 1.5 minutes to go with a redshirt freshman quarterback on the road, and let's go score some points. That tells me right there the mentality of the football team, at least on offense. We haven't seen that a lot around here over the last few years, but let's flip the field because that mentality is a little bit different too, isn't it? I mean, if you were a quarterback going up against South Carolina's defense right now, and you've seen some pretty damn good defenses in your time as a starting quarterback at South Carolina, I mean, what would you be telling your guys in the huddle? What do you do here?
Nothing. There was nothing more intimidating than playing very talented defensive ends. I wasn't afraid of corners. I wasn't afraid of safeties. Really wasn't even afraid. I'm never afraid, but I wasn't, from a schematic standpoint, linebackers. It was the bookends that could just turn the corner, get under your tackle, and just peel you like a banana. That it just freaked me out because I knew that these guys were bigger, stronger, faster, 10 times more gifted than I was. And if I was in their radius, I was going to be toast. And that was what I didn't want, obviously, to have happen. And some of these highlights, guys, that we are seeing from this Dylan Stewart kid, and I know everybody's loving on him, and Kennard is playing probably just as good a football.
Agreed.
But this Stewart kid, the stuff he's doing is freaky. It's like there have been a couple games where he's actually like leapt into blockers, attacking the quarterback like a freaking, like in Talladega Nights, like a damn spider monkey. Like he just flies after, and you're like
a panther.
Yeah, he looks like a damn panther.
Panther,
and
yeah.
I was talking to my buddy this week, and I we're like, something in his brain is like, I'm sure he's a great kid, right? Something in here is not all there to think like, I am going to ravagely attack this quarterback, and I'm going to leap. I don't think I've ever seen somebody leap into a blocker like that. And for him to be at full speed, bend up and around, and then take on a block, shed a block, and then go and make a sack on the quarterback. I mean, the guy is just, yeah, he's
the Ricky Bobby of defensive ends.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not first or last.
Yeah, he's like Bobby Boucher, man, but in real life, he's the water boy. And somebody insulted water, gave him some Gatorade, and they turned him loose, man. But he's a stud, and I don't think I've seen. I mean, the most comparable has got to be Clowney, right?
Sure.
But Clowney could not bend like that.
No.
Clowney just beat you out of
Correct.
pure strength and speed. This dude's like, he's like bam, bam, bend, sack.
Very
you have
smart
to
observation
stay,
there.
You have to. It's not just your initial block with this kid, because if you block him to begin with, he's going to dip on. There's like a wide variety of moves he can make, and he makes them super quick. Hand violence, like the way he can punch the ball. He's so strong too. Like there's been several times he's punched the ball out, and Carolina hasn't gotten it. And it's just like it happens so quick. You're like, what? You have to really slow the replay down. I don't know what everybody saw to rank him like 11th in the country,
or didn't see.
I've never seen. I mean, I saw Clowney in high school. I saw Myles Garrett. I ranked them both number 1 in the country. This guy's like just. Will he be as productive and good and celebrate? Who knows? So far, yeah, but he's just different. It's like there's a lot of great basketball players. Michael Jordan's just different.
Yeah.
This guy is
the thing
just
I'll
different.
say too, man, that I definitely want to add, because it takes me back to 2013, my freshman year at South Carolina. And when you have one player just create so much attention about that one player, it frees the other guys up to either get one-on-one battles or unblocked battles to go and get pressure on the quarterback. And then in the run game, it's very, very similar, where it creates so much focus on this player instead of the actual plays that are trying to be accomplished. It doesn't allow teams to play at their full capability because of how gifted he is. This weekend is an enormous task for him, because he's going up and will go up against a couple of the best tackles in the country.
Yes.
And if they play to their abilities, man, and they play defense like they've been, I mean, I don't care who we play. If we play defense like we have been, we have a chance to win every game we play. No question. But yeah, I think this will be the first, legit, not real, because Kentucky's a good team, first legit battle for these defensive ends, because these tackles that LSU has are legit. Quarterback's talented. LSU always got playmakers on the perimeter, but I'm excited. I'm excited for the game. I'm glad that I will be able to watch the game at a minimum. I won't be in attendance, unfortunately, but that's how it goes, man. So I'll be cheering them on that.
Well, I know we got to get you out of here in just a couple of minutes. Perry, Rocket Sanders. This is week 3 as you're with Rocket as a starting running back at South Carolina. I think we all anticipate the South Carolina defense playing well, but if they're on the field the entire game, things can add up and not go so well. So the offense obviously is going to have to do their part, and that's going to be a really interesting matchup in itself. Up front, the Carolina offensive line, the LSU defensive line. But it doesn't feel. I mean, we've talked about LaNorris and all these guys, and they're making strides. Doesn't this feel like Rocket Sanders football this weekend?
It's going to have to be with the weather. The weather's going to play a factor, but we have to stay on the field longer. I think you nailed it. We've got to have more longer sustaining drives. Now, the good thing is that last week, the long drives we've had, for the most part, converted into touchdowns, right? So we've got to sustain drives and get points as often as we can. LSU is going to score. I don't think that we're going to, leave them out of the end zone. That would be pretty damn remarkable if so. But, I think there's a pivotal game for the program, pivotal opportunity right after game day on a Saturday without like a big slate of games that, the eyes are on Columbia, South Carolina, and it's a moment that it's a reason why the coaches coach here, reason why the players come here to play is you have great opportunity to go make a name for yourself on national television right after college game day. And, at this point, you just got to go and take it. And, man, I hope we do it. It'd be great. It'd be great for the staff and Coach Beamer and all the guys that I know personally over there. Just I really hope it works out.
Start opening up a lot of eyeballs if Carolina's 3-0, 2-0 in the SEC. I can tell you what it'll also open up is a top 25 ranking. They'll be in there next week if they get that one this weekend.
Yep.
There's no question. Perry, look, I would never want to change spots with you. So, but I do hope you have a good time, at least at the wedding this weekend, I guess. Kind of sucks. So
Yeah, I think
eliminate these people from your lives, man. You don't.
Yeah, I think our daughter is gonna have like an episode or something right around 5 p.m. Saturday night. So I'm gonna have to just take her back to the room, make sure that settle everything down, turn the TV on, get the football going in the background, and make sure she's taken care of. I hate I'll miss the ceremony and the reception, but I'll have a beer in the room.
You got the perfect excuse having such a young one too, Perry. You're just
Absolutely.
like, I mean, there's nothing we could do, kids.
It's either that or from now on, I'm going to start scheduling QB1 camps.
Yeah.
Right. Sunday.
Well, I mean, the football schedule should be enough. Keep her up as long as you can on Friday night, so she's pretty grouchy on Saturday, and that'll do the trick. Does it? We've done that before. It works.
60% of the time, it works every time.
That's right.
You got that right. Hey, man, wonderful as always. Really, really love having you. I'm going to miss you this weekend, but certainly look forward to catching up next week and seeing you next weekend.
All right, boys. Talk to y'all later.
Go get them. Thanks,
Perry.
Perry. Really good, great stuff there. But he mentioned the weather right now, just a 25% chance of rain until about 2:00 Saturday afternoon. It jumps up to 61% according to weather.gov. That is the National Weather Service. So things are, looking up from a weather standpoint. We'll see.
Just no lightning. That's no delays. No delays.
No, please don't.
Yeah, those are the worst.
That's all I care. I don't care about rain.
Last games was enough for the whole year. I'm done with it. Yeah, it's enough. It's enough with the lightning. And the other.
How about a plus 200 Rocket gets to 100? Little cut.com bet.
That wouldn't be.
Yeah,
2-1.
Golly,
$100. KUTT.com.
I'm not going to take it. No,
$100.
Promo.
Quadrilla Cover 3 said it would be Beamer's biggest SEC win to date. Those guys don't ever pay attention to anything.
no,
Honestly, they don't know much about history.
I don't know why y'all watch them.
Even Florida State is their favorite team. They don't talk. They don't.
Who's cover 3?
I mean, I don't.
work?
Cannell, Bud Elliott, and those guys, CBS. Chip
They
Patterson.
don't respect
They're good
South
guys. I
Carolina.
like them, but I mean, they don't need to be. I mean, this would not be Beamer's biggest win. I mean, I think
Does he remember Tennessee?
Tennessee game a few years ago, beating the top 5, knocking them out.
63
of the playoffs in
points on
November,
Tennessee.
Clemson.
would probably take the cake. And I think that's the whole point of this. It is a big opportunity. It's not the make or break game. There's going to be a huge game in 2 weeks, regardless, win or lose Saturday.
It's the third game of the season.
I mean, you put too much on this, and you sit around and smoke a bunch of Chiba and think that you've arrived and sit up there like the ghost of Christmas present on top of your riches and food. You're going to get your butt cut by Ole Miss.
Yeah, well,
Alabama wants that.
Encourage these athletes to do any drugs before.
Well, not them, but I mean, just the mindset around here. It's just like, I mean, I and a lot of the people that say they're the ones that have said horrible things about Shane Beamer, and I'm talking Gamecock fans, media, whatever, the entire time. And they know, and so yeah, of course they're going to put that kind of mojo on the Gamecocks this weekend. Yeah, because it's a game the Gamecocks could easily lose. Oh, well, that was his biggest opportunity. Oh, my God. Look, I think common sense says Ole Miss is in the top 5. Alabama's in the top 5. Oklahoma's a cathedral of college football. It's a big place to go play. A&M's good. Missouri's in the top 5. Clemson's a rival. There are bigger games coming.
Thanks to Perry Orth and Glenn Gilbo for joining us today. Wonderful, wonderful guests. And we've got more of them tomorrow. Rafael Esparza will give us all the goods on the betting odds this weekend. Matt Anderson will co-host with us tomorrow. And then Michael Flint, John Strickland, and Patrick Davis will join us in the final hour. Mike, we don't get you back till Monday. Any quick parting shots before the game this weekend?
Nah, I'm pumped up about it. I really am. I think it's a very intriguing matchup, and JC put it in its proper perspective. Like, the season's not over if you lose it. Obviously, if you win, I think going back to yesterday, I think you're looking at an appearance in the top 25. I think that would be more than justifiable if you do win it. And if you win it, obviously you're looking at 4-0, and you're looking at one of those years where it's like, oh, okay. But if you don't, it's not like the season's over. Okay, there's a lot of big games left, and this team is going to lay an egg at some point, like almost every team in college football does, and it's probably going to win a game that they shouldn't, like almost every college football team does. So It should be a lot of fun. And like Phil said, just no lightning, please. I can take rain, sleet, snow.
That's right.
Just no.
We used to not have
lightning
delays like we do now.
Back in my day, you just took the bolt in your head and you played in the second quarter anyway.
I remember one in 2002 against Georgia. I don't know. I remember they didn't play Virginia Tech, Georgia Tech one year because Lee Corso's car got struck by lightning in Blacksburg.
That's right.
So I guess it's a thing, but it seems more common now. I don't know.
Well, we're out of time. We appreciate everybody. Get your picks in. App 5 right now on the Chief Sports app. It is free. Somebody's going to win $25 to Salsaritas and Gamecock Traditions. For the Golden Dome and the Golden Tones, the Golden Boys, and Schubert, I'm JB. We'll see you tomorrow at 11 on ITG.